Don't Blink, it's your boy Ink. We got another video, another review. It is season 2, episode 2 of The Walking Dead. So, to me, this was a phenomenal episode. So, why it was so good? There was some part I was kind of weak, like the part with Tyrone and they also gonna take that out way before because again, it's the weaker part. And I want to keep you the guys. I want to keep you guys as long as possible. So pimple motherfucker. No, not that's a pimple motherfucker. So yeah, so Dill and T-Bone, they're in the back. They're being told to wait here. Dill understand that there needs to be something, and there needs to be somebody there. And T is hurt, and Dill he's old, but he can take care of the RV, you know. Because in his mind, he thinks that because he's black and that Daryl is super useful, he'd rather have Daryl along than him. But the guy's fucking wounded. He's delirious. So the fact that they didn't take him is a really good thing. And Dale, he's like, yo, is gonna take care of him. And Dale is kind of cool because he does pick up a guitar for Glenn because he said maybe Glenn plays. Doesn't even know if Glenn plays. It's like I'm gonna have the back of my boy, and it's kind of cool. So we had this scene that was kind of nice. Now that there was the worst part, let's get to the good part. So in the very beginning, we have a scene where Shane tells Lori that Rick has been shot, right? Which he promised Shane, he promised Rick he wouldn't do. So he tells her, and you can kind of see that Lori side of things because it's kind of cool. In season 1, episode 1, we see the fight scene from the same morning. And we see the fight scene from Rick's perspective, and it's from Lori's perspective, and we understand that she was just trying to be mean with him so she could get a reaction out of him. Um, so it's kind of nuts. And if we remember what Rick said, he said she said some vile thing, and no matter how mad I was, I would have never said that in front of Coral, right? And so that's a pretty good scene. We have Rick who's running around. We meet a ton of people. We meet Ursula, we meet Maggie, we meet Patricia, we meet Otis. There's a lot more characters, but we only met those. Maggie is a fan favorite, and to be quite fair, this group is a lot more important because, well, for two very good reasons. There's some characters like Urshel that are very intricate to the story, very intricate, and they have something to do with the story. And there's characters like Maggie who are gonna stay till the very end, and even have spin-off shows. So yeah, and it's super important because the second reason why it's super important is Rick asked God to give him a sign if he was okay. And then a couple of seconds later, Carl gets shot. Right? However, the person who saved Carl is super religious. So maybe the sign was that he was sending, without the wounds, he would have never went to the farm. Right? So maybe the sign was the wound himself, it was what the wound would result in. We have a veterinarian, and it's a super cool scene between I know I'm skipping a lot of stuff. I'm going back and forth, but this is the way I remember it. I try not to write roles. I try to be more authentic, you know. So this really cool part where we learn that Urshel is like a doctor. He needs to take care of Carl, right? And he's like, okay, I can save your boy, but it's gonna be hard. And then we get Lori who comes in much later because at the beginning it's just Rick and Shane, and Rick he learns that fucking Urshel is not a doctor; he's a veterinarian, and Lori to that note she's like, oh my god. You can't. Rick understand that he doesn't really have a choice. You understand the situation is not the best, but you understand that he has to have faith, he has to trust. As in Lori, she's more like, well, I cannot do something. We'll find something to do. We'll find something to do. We'll find something else. Enrique is more realistic, and I do like the duality in there because again, in this cases and in the case of when Rick didn't answer because Carl was there, Rick proved to be like a really good father, right? And he's willing to do a lot. I'm not saying Lori's not a good mother, but I'm saying that Rick he has this not like this plan, but he's really good to Carl, and he's a good influence, and he's probably is Carl's best weapon to survival, right? We have a moment where Ricky brings it, and oh man, the Andrew Lincoln here, the acting, dude. Like I don't really notice, and I'm not. You guys are not gonna be hearing me talk about the acting. When is the last time you guys hear me about some about talk about someone acting, but Andrew Lincoln here, he's fucking masterful, dude. He's like, save my boy. And the way he says, he's like, save him, save my boy. And his voice cracks. And even when he brings the cuffs to the bed, he said, what's your name? And Urshel is like, what's your name, son? And then you can see that Rick's in shock. He said, Rick, I'm Rick. And he's in shock, and it's kind of cool because it's really good that he played like that. Again, Andrew Lincoln, fucking phenomenal job. But John Bertel, which play Shane, does an amazing job because he see Rick, and he's willing to place himself in his face, and he's trying to calm him down. He's trying to get like a towel and take care of him, which is exactly what Rick's need. And I think that Shane understand that, and he's super calm. And thank God, Rick is the same blood as Carl, so he can transfer. We learned that the bullets destroyed in Carl, and we got to get the figment. For that, it takes more time, and for that we need blood, and for that we need more equipment. And those equipment, we got Otis, the guy who shot, and Shane goes to the school, right, who is overrun. It's kind of cool because we don't really know Otis, but he's admitting that he fucked up, right? And he's like, okay, well, I fucked up. I'm going to have to fix it. So I do appreciate that. And it didn't matter that Otis didn't know. There were some really cool moments where Shane and Otis, and they found like a cop car with flares. And when they found it, they're like, oh, bro, this is so cool. And when they find the even the equipment, you can see that they both generally are happy. So there's this solidarity, and it's good to see. It's nice to see. We got the group. We got Maggie, which is the daughter, who brings the group over. And again, I fucking love Daryl. I fucking love Daryl because although she's trying to Maggie. Okay, so let's put it that way. Maggie is the daughter of Urshel. I'm gonna give you a spoiler right away. Right away. I don't give a shit. Urshel, Maggie, the whole family, they're good people. They're good people. They're not gonna fuck over Rick. They don't look to hurt Rick over. They're good people, right? And then so Maggie, she tells Lori, yo, your son's in danger. You need to come with me. You need this, mom. You need to come with me. And Lori, she doesn't hesitate. She goes. And the rest of the group is freaking out. Except for fucking Daryl. Daryl he's a fucking man, dude. Because he goes in and say, hey, you can't go with her. You don't even know her. You don't know her. And he reasoned with, she knows Carl's name and she knows Lori. So she might have known Rick and she might be a good person. But at the beginning, it's like, don't go with her. And you can truly see that he's being tactical. He's being, like, it might seem like a redneck. But again, he's useful. And it sucks because in this episode, Tyrone was like, yo, this redneck, he's not going to help me. But then when they're looking for medication, we're seeing that Daryl is the one to help. So again, it's kind of cool. Daryl helps everybody. Daryl is one of the MVP of the group. If I had to go with MVPs, I would go Rick, Shane, Daryl, and Glenn. Now, my issue is Rick and Shane are the most useful. You know what? I'm going to tell you the truth. This is business between you guys. I think Shane is a bit more useful than Rick. Because you guys remember in the first season when Shane was able to go fish for some frog, he was able to identify which mushroom to eat. We don't know that Rick is able to do that, right? We know that Shane's a good hunter. He's not as good as Daryl, but still. So we go Shane and Rick. Now, my problem with Glenn and Daryl, why they're changing, is Daryl might be better at tracking in the woods. But in the city, Glenn was unbelievably, good. So it depends on where you are. Like, Glenn, main quality is he knew the city. Hey, that made him, so important, but now that we left the city, it's harder to say, okay, well, he contributes a lot. He means to contribute a lot. And it's so cool because the group, they send Glenn, which basically leads to a Glenn-Maggie romance. But it's and again, what is amazing about this episode is, again, we get the God, recalling for God and God answering in a this way. There's also the sentiment of Carl got shot and Sophia, she's missing. Carl is still alive, he still have a chance to fight. Sophia, we don't know if she's alive or not. So what do? Do we side with Carol, who wants to save Sophia? Or we side with Rick, who wants to save Carl? it's a question of priority. In my case, I would go with Carl because Carl has a chance, but Sophia, if we leave and she's still alive, we'll never forgive ourselves, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the episode. They go to school, they get overrun. We meet Urshel, who's like who's seemingly a good man. We got Rick, and there's a lot of Rick and Lori. And I gotta say, Lori, at a lot of times she's too emotional. A lot of times she's a fucking mess. But in this episode, Lori, she did so well. Cause when I'm getting emotional, fuck. When Carl got shot, she could have gotten mad at Rick. Rick blamed himself, and Lori should could have blamed Rick, but okay. Lori, she says to Carl, my boy, she's sad, and she could have been mad at Rick, but she just hold his hand, and they're together, and it's kind of cool because she's like, I know you're hurt by that, and I know you're afraid. We need each other right now, and that's really important, So yeah, so that was really good episode. Fuck, it was emotional. It was a solid. No complaints. Well, I mean, the Dell stuff and the Tyrone stuff, it was kind of boring, but I do see why it was mentioned because, and it's kind of crazy because I do think that it's boring. I did mention the same thing last episode, like, oh, you have some important people and we have some less important people, and it just goes to show that the address in the show, which is cool. I love it.